And I actually don't know what the plot of the first one is. Is there an octopus emoji? We're gonna have to find out. Hello book lovers, welcome back or to the channel. My name is Steph, and today's video we will be doing the mid-year book freakout tag. So I don't really plan on doing too many tag videos on this channel, but I just feel like the mid-year book freakout tag is such a staple on BookTube. Plus it is one of the only tags that I really enjoy watching on BookTube. So I decided that I am going to film it. It does give you kind of an idea of how the reading year has been going so far. So without further ado, I am just going to get right into the questions because I don't want to do too much rambling on this channel anymore. So the first question is the best book that I have read so far this year in 2024. And the book that I will be choosing for this is one that I have shown quite a bit on my channel already, but I just cannot explain how much I really liked this book, and that is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This is a YA fantasy, historical fiction, romance novel. There's a lot going on in this novel, but essentially we're following our two main characters, so Iris and Rowan, and they both work for the same paper. They are both journalists, but they are like rival journalists. So this is considered an enemies to lovers, but I don't really like to classify it as that because I don't really think that the two main characters are truly ever like real enemies. There's also a magical element to this because there are these magical typewriters, and Iris believes that she is writing letters to her brother that has gone off to fight the war of the gods, but they end up being transported to Rowan, who is the love interest in this book, but she is not made aware of this. And then this book takes kind of a completely different turn, and I really like the pacing of this book. This love story was just so good. I really do not enjoy YA very often. I feel like I've kind of outgrown my love for YA, but this book just reinforced that it has nothing to do with books being YA or not, because this was such a good book. I cannot stop talking about it or thinking about it. I cannot wait to reread this book. And yeah, this is definitely the best book that I have read so far in 2024. So the next question is the best sequel that I've read this year, and that has to go to Vengeful by V.E. Schwab. So I don't really read too many sequels, but this one is definitely hands down the best one that I have read so far. This is the sequel to Vicious by V.E. Schwab, which I read a couple of years ago. So I was scared to jump back into this world in case I like forgot the characters or kind of what was going on, but it is very well written where you kind of do get a recap of what happened in the first one. So because this is a sequel, I will not really tell you what this is about, but the first one, Vicious, is essentially an adult fantasy novel. We are following our main characters, Victor and Eli, and they are college students in the novel, and they are working on this thesis of how to become extraordinaries, but then their like thesis, instead of being like written on paper, they actually start to put things into like real life experiences, and then things go horribly wrong, and the novel kind of takes off from there. I believe that the novel was also like dual timeline, so you're following them in college but then also in present day. And yeah, it was just so well written. I really do love V.E. Schwab, and this was hands down the best sequel that I have read so far. So question number 3 is a new release that I have not read yet but I want to, and this is very easy. It is going to be Middle of the Night by Riley Sager. Riley Sager is one of my all-time favorite authors. This is his newest release. It is a mystery and thriller, and that is all I know about it. I actually do not like to know what my mystery and thrillers are about before I dive in. I kind of like to be kept in the dark as much as possible. So I do not know what this is about, nor do I want to know what this is about, but this did come out in June, so I am very excited to finally read it. I will be reading it in July. So question number 4 is my most anticipated release for the second half of the year, and for this I am going to choose Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune. TJ Klune is one of my all-time favorite authors. I absolutely loved the first one in this series, House in the Cerulean Sea. It is just such a heartwarming book, and I had no idea that there was going to be a sequel, but this one comes out, I believe, in September, so I am very excited about it. So for those of you who do not know, House in the Cerulean Sea is essentially a fantasy novel. It is following our main character, Linus, who is a caseworker for a a like management company that deals with orphanages that handle magical children. So he is tasked with going to one of these orphanages to see if it needs to be shut down or not. And it is just such a wholesome story. TJ Klune, again, is one of my all-time favorite authors. His writing is impeccable. I love the way that he writes his characters, and the messages in his books, they're just top tier. I absolutely love it and highly recommend it. So I'm definitely very excited for the sequel. So question number 5 is the biggest disappointment so far this year, and that hands down has to go to Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I did talk about this in my wrap-up, so if you want my full thoughts on this book, I will leave my wrap-up linked up above in the cards. But essentially, I was very disappointed by this. I've heard a lot of people really loving this book, so I feel like I just set my expectations way too high, and I have read from Ali Hazelwood before, so I thought that I was absolutely going to love this, but this was just such a disappointment for me. Essentially, this is a romance novel between a werewolf and a vampire, which sounds on paper like it should be like 100% my vibe, but it definitely was not my vibe, and I really did not enjoy it, and it definitely is the biggest disappointment that I have read so far. So the next question is the biggest surprise that you have read so far this year, and the book that I am choosing for this is actually going to be Manacled. And the reason that I am putting this as like the most surprising book is because I never read fan fiction, nor do I actually like fan fiction, but I have heard nothing but good things about this specific fan fiction. So I was like, okay, let me give it a try. Plus it is over 1,000 pages long. It is such a long fan fiction that I was just like, I don't know if I'm going to like this, but I'm so happy that I did end up picking this up because it was so good. So this is essentially a fan fiction about Harry Potter being dead and Hermione falling in love with Draco. So that is kind of all I will say about it. If you have not heard about this and you are interested in that, then I would 100% recommend this. I ended up giving this 5 stars. It was so good. I am literally so surprised that I enjoyed this as much as I did. And I did hear that this is trying to get published, but I'm not really sure how that would work because I'm pretty sure that fanfics can't get published for some reason, but let me know down below in the comments if you know anything about this. But yeah, this was definitely the most surprising. So question number 7 is your new favorite author or new to you author. And the author that I'm going to choose for this is Carissa Orlando, because she wrote The September House, which I read this year and absolutely loved it. And I believe that that was her debut novel. So I am very excited to see what else she writes, as I really did like this writing style, and I thought that the pacing of this book was super good. I do find it a little weird that it's asking like new favorite. I literally have only read one book from this author, so I don't really consider her like a favorite author, but it's definitely an author that I am very intrigued to read from more. So whenever she comes out with new books, I will definitely be picking them up. So question number 8 is your new fictional crush. I truly never really have fictional crushes, but I do have characters that I just think are like the sweetest little jelly beans in the entire world. So the fictional character that I'm using for this is going to be Rambo from In the Lives of Puppets. Again, a TJ Klune novel, and his characters are just so lovable and I just love them so much. And Rambo in this was just the cutest little bean. Like I said, I just loved him so much. Just the things that he said, and I listened to this book on audio and I just thought he was so cute. So I definitely just fell in love with him. So question number 9 is your newest favorite character, and the character that I'm choosing for this is going to be Marcellus from Remarkably Bright Creatures. I just read this book last month and I absolutely loved it. Marcellus is the octopus that lives in the aquarium in this novel, and he is just so wholesome and he just means so well, and I just fell in love with Marcellus so much as a character. I really enjoyed his role in this novel as well, and he was just the sweetest thing in the world. So he is definitely my new favorite character. So question number 10 is a book that made you cry, and I truly have never cried reading a book. I don't know if it means that I don't have like emotions or not, but I truly do not cry while reading books. But I finally read a book that made me sob like a little baby, and I never thought it would happen, but it did, because I just fell so in love with this character. And the book that finally made me cry and sob like such a little baby was Marley and Me by John Grogan. I mean, I feel like I knew exactly how this was going to end, and I feel like everybody knows how this is going to end, but I just feel like everything that was written in the ending of this book reminded me so much of my little Rocky that I did lose this year. So I think that it just had like an extra like emotional pull at my heartstrings, and I sobbed like such a little baby. But yeah, I'm finally happy that I do have an answer for this question, because I finally did shed some tears, and this was just such a sad book. So question number 11 is a book that made me happy, and the book that I'm choosing for this is Crenshaw by Catherine Applegate. The reason that this made me so happy is that I listened to it on audio, and it is essentially following this boy who has an imaginary friend that is this like giant cat named Crenshaw, and Crenshaw would just be doing the cutest things during this book. So as like the audiobook narrator is like reading this to you, it's like telling you about how Crenshaw is like having a bath, and like there's like bubbles going everywhere, and I just thought it was the cutest thing in the world. So this book definitely made me happy, and there actually is just like such good messages in here as well. So I highly recommend this book. So question 12 is the most beautiful book that you've bought this year or were gifted, and I truly haven't bought any like really nice editions this year. And while I was going through my shelves, I really realized that I really haven't spent money on like really nice editions, but I did choose a book that I think the cover is just absolutely stunning, and it just like speaks to me, and I just think it is just such a gorgeous cover, and that is The Dead Take the A Train. I literally have not seen anyone talk about this, and the premise of this novel also sounds really good. It is following our main character, who's kind of like doesn't care about her life, doesn't care if she like lives or dies, but then gets tasked with trying to help one of her friends out during like a difficult situation. So I'm very intrigued by this. I have read from Cassandra Cott before, so I'm hoping I do like it. But yeah, this is probably one of the like nicest covers that I own. And finally, the last question for this video is a book that you need to get to by the end of the year, and the book that I'm choosing for this is Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. This is the last book in the Throne of Glass series. I have not read Tower of Dawn yet, but I am going to be reading that next month, and then I will just have Kingdom of Ash to finish. So I really want to make it a point to read the entire Throne of Glass series this year, and I literally just have 2 books left, and I'm 100% going to read Tower of Dawn next month. So this will be the last book that I need to finish the series, and I am so excited to finally be done with this series. I am really enjoying it, but it has dragged on for a very long time, so I cannot wait to just finally be done with this series. That is it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. Please let me know down below in the comments if you have done this tag. I would love to go and watch your tag video. Again, this is one of my favorite tags to watch. If you did make it to the end of this video, please leave the octopus emoji down below in the comments to represent Marcellus from Remarkably Bright Creatures. And also, if you did like this video, please hit that thumbs up like button. And if you are new here, I would love to have you stick around and hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys all in my next one. Bye!